This is not good for the Miami Dolphins. It was made official today, but the New England Patriots announced that they hired Mike Vrabel as their next head coach on Sunday morning. The press conference with Robert Kraft was today, and this is not good for the Miami Dolphins because he is a very good head coach, and he is going to elevate the New England Patriots inside the AFC East division. We'll talk all about what Vrabel brings to the table for New England and why it's bad even more for Tua Tagovailoa here in just a second. But I want to get your thoughts on the matter first. Are you concerned about Mike Vrabel being the head coach of New England, being inside the AFC East division, potentially elevating the New England Patriots? It's today's pinned comment, so I want to know your votes down below. Type Y for yes or type N for no. I don't love Mike Vrabel coming to New England. There's a lot of reasons why I don't want him to be the Patriots head coach. Well, there's no reason to talk about why I don't want it to happen because it already did happen. And it doesn't make me feel good about the future of the Miami Dolphins, not only for next season, but for the next 3, 4, 5 years in the 305. Because with Mike Vrabel coming into the fold as the New England Patriots head coach, that demotes Mike McDaniel, in my opinion. I think Mike McDaniel, at this point, is now the third best coach in the division. Seriously. I have Sean McDermott number 1. I don't even think he's that good of a coach, but he's had sustained success in Buffalo. They've ran the division ever since Tom Brady retired, so you have to give McDermott his credit. But with what Vrabel has accomplished in his career as the Tennessee Titans head coach, I am going to put him ahead of Mike McDaniel. Vrabel has gotten to an AFC championship game. He has won multiple playoff games. He has been the 1 seed in the AFC. He has won his respective division on a roster in Tennessee that I did not think was as talented as what their record showed, as what they showed in terms of getting farther into the postseason. And Mike McDaniel, due to 3 years of no playoff wins, crumbling down the stretch, an inability to win in the big games, I am going to put him third. Now, I do think Mike McDaniel is a better head coach on whoever the New York Jets hire. Now, if they somehow get Ben Johnson, that's a different story. But at least right now, I am going to have McDaniel ahead of whoever the Jets hire. But the reason why I am so high on Vrabel and why I think he's already a better head coach than Mike McDaniel is because if you watch the channel, you would have known that I put out a video about 2-3 weeks ago talking about head coach candidates that I would want to replace Mike McDaniel if Stephen Ross in Miami ultimately fired McDaniel. And who was number 1 on that list? Yeah, it was Mike Vrabel. This was my top 5 in terms of replacing McDaniel if Stephen Ross moved off of him at the end of the year. Ben Johnson and Mike Vrabel clear-cut number 2, and then there's a small gap between Jesse Minter, and then another large gap for me between Joe Brady and Aaron Glenn. But I really enjoyed the idea and possibility of Mike Vrabel becoming the next Patriot or the Dolphins head coach. And the reason why I wanted him to become the next Dolphins head coach is because he will provide stability and he will provide a certain standard in your locker room. He is known for being able to build a culture, holding players accountable, and raising the floor of your football team. And sure, you can talk in depth and have a debate about the New England Patriots on if Ben Johnson was hired as the head coach, would their ceiling be higher? And I think you might be able to make that argument and make it correctly. Ben Johnson, the way he has kind of shown himself as this offensive guru, this play caller, him and Drake May paired together in New England could have been detrimental in the AFC East and the entire NFL. Vrabel might not provide that explosion and that ceiling for the Patriots or Drake May personally, but he will make sure that team is playing a winning brand of football. They will not beat themselves. And with all of the things that they can improve on this offseason, I feel like the Patriots will absolutely be winning 7, 8, 9+ games next season with a second-year Drake May, with Mike Vrabel coming into the fold. And with everything happening with Miami, the fines, the culture not really seeming that good in the locker room, that is why I wanted Vrabel in Miami, but ultimately he goes to New England. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we're talking everything Miami Dolphins here, whether it is affecting Miami and something happens inside the division or the AFC, or if there's news or rumors on the Miami Dolphins, we will have you covered with everything you need to know surrounding this football team. So hit that sub button. Appreciate everyone who joined the channel and helped get us to 67K. It was an awesome milestone to hit, and I appreciate every single one of you there. 68K up next. All right, as we continue the conversation on Vrabel and why this is so important for the New England Patriots is because this is the biggest offseason that they will have probably in their team history. You could have argued it was last year they had a lot of cap space in the third overall pick while they were hunting for the quarterback. They drafted Drake May out of North Carolina. He looks like a young stud at quarterback, which is not good for Miami. But now this is the biggest offseason for them because they fired Jerod Mayo. They found his replacement in Mike Vrabel. They have the most cap space in the NFL by a wide margin. It's by about $25-30 million with $130 million plus. They also have the fourth pick in the 2025 NFL draft. And depending on if teams take quarterbacks early, they are likely going to be able to sit there and either draft the top offensive lineman, Abdul Carter from Penn State, or Travis Hunter from Colorado. And even if one quarterback goes in the top 4 or top 3, then they'll have their pick of one of those guys. If 2 of them go, then they'll have pick of 2 of those guys. So the Patriots are set up to get a blue chip player on defense or offense for them to build around Drake May, plus the cap space where they can go target T. Higgins. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I have a pretty strong feeling that the New England Patriots are going to be right on par with the Miami Dolphins next season. It's just how I feel. I'm going to always be truthful with everyone here at Dolphins Today. And some of you may call me crazy. Some of you may hate on the New England Patriots. But when I watched Drake May play this season, and yes, he got absolutely demolished by Miami in the 305 when they played this season, but I saw his film. I saw the highlight plays that he was making against other teams in the NFL. I believe he is going to progress. And if they get a good play caller, we'll see who they ultimately hire, whether it's Josh McDaniels or someone else. They're going to be a competent football team. And with Vrabel, they are going to do the little things correctly, play a hard-nosed brand of football, and be competitive in every game, which only hurts Miami in their attempt to have a couple wins. Because they have beat New England like every single time they've played over the last 5 seasons. It's been 2 free wins for Miami. I don't think that's going to be the case, and they may be contending for a wild card spot next year in the playoffs, just like the Miami Dolphins are. And we're going to show you some stats and talk about it, but it's not great when your quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, has matched up against Mike Vrabel twice in his career, and he has not beaten the new Patriots head coach. He hasn't beaten him. And Mike McDaniel, he hasn't beaten him either. Now, it's only been one opportunity for McDaniel to go up against Vrabel. It's been multiple times for Tua, but that's not a good sign either. And we'll talk about that here in just a second. But we are sponsored by Game Time, the #1 ticketing app on the market. And if you are going to a live event, make sure you get your tickets with Game Time. Whether it's a sporting event, concert, comedy show, theater, it does not matter. Game Time is the best way to get your tickets. And they have so many great features, one of them being Game Time Picks. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They have all-in pricing as well. When you toggle that feature, you will get the total price of your ticket up front rather than getting blindsided by fees at checkout. And you can also get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy. There is no easier way to buy your tickets than with Game Time. I bought Game Time tickets with to go to Christmas. Mavericks, Timberwolves, my parents. You could have went to a comedy show in Dallas this weekend. That's where I'm at. But if you're in Miami, you can go to any local event there or whatever your area is. Make sure you buy your tickets with Game Time. Use code CHATSPORTS when signing up and downloading the app to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. First purchase only. But that's code CHATSPORTS. That gets you $20 off your first purchase. What time is it? It is game time. As I teased before we talked about Game Time, which, by the way, if you want to go see the Dolphins in 2025, use Game Time. Tua is 0-2 against Mike Vrabel. Matched up against him 2 times in his career. Lost both of them. And the stats when he's gone against Mike Vrabel are not pretty. Now, Vrabel is a defensive background type of guy, but it's not like he's a McDaniel or a Ben Johnson or a Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, where they're calling the plays, they're working hand in hand on one side. Vrabel's more of a CEO head coach. But when you look at the numbers, he has struggled against the Mike Vrabel-led team. In 2021, the Dolphins in Week 17 got thrashed 34-3. The numbers for Tua, not pretty. Under 50% completion percentage. QB rating of 53.1. Not great. And then we all know what happened, not this season, but last season on Monday Night Football against the Titans at home when the Dolphins blew a lead 28-27 to Will Levis. Tua did not really play that well in that game either, if we're going to be honest, and collapsed down the stretch. It's not a good feeling when your QB1 is 0-2 against the New England Patriots head coach. And I know people are going to bring up, well, that's a different team. That's a different roster. The Patriots aren't as good as the Titans were back then. Well, I'd make the argument they're about the same tier as the Will Levis Titans last year. But in 2021, sure, that is a different story. And I know Tua Tagovailoa is 7-0 in his career against that team in Foxborough, Massachusetts. So it's really going to be a movable object meets an unstoppable force. Which one happens first? Does Tua beat Mike Vrabel, or does the New England Patriots finally beat Tua Tagovailoa? Which one is it going to be? Either way, though, I don't feel confident about Tua going up against Vrabel. And with them installing a new scheme, installing a new culture in New England, it's going to be harder to continue the dominance that you have had over the last 4 or 5 seasons since Tua became the QB1 of the Dolphins. We also mentioned the one time McDaniel and Vrabel got matched up was last year on Monday Night Football, and Vrabel and Will Levis completed a comeback to get that win. All right, that will do it. Or, no, it won't. I'm a dumbass. Either way, we're going to talk about one last thing before we get out of here. I did want to mention this. I've talked about it over the weekend on a short, but I wanted to talk a little bit more in full depth here. Danny Crossman and Wes Welker, the special teams coordinator for Miami, and the wide receiver coach for Miami, Wes Welker, both fired on the weekend by the Miami Dolphins. And to be honest, it was about time that these two guys got fired. Crossman was horrible as the special teams coordinator for Miami this year. The Dolphins had the 31st ranked special teams unit in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus. Atrocious. Good to see him gone. We'll let you know when they find his replacement. And I know a lot of people were shocked, me included, on Wes Welker. I was stunned as well. But if we're going to be honest, the Dolphins wide receiver core has kind of struggled outside of the two studs of Waddle and Tyreek Hill over the past couple of seasons. So I could see a nice little change of scenery. Plus, there really wasn't any mobility upward in this organization for Welker. Think about it. You've got Darrell Bevel, you've got Frank Smith. Unless one of those two guys gets fired, how is Wes Welker going to get promoted inside this building? So maybe it was a mutually parting of ways. Either way, when the Dolphins find Wes Welker's replacement, find Danny Crossman's replacement, we will drop a video and let you know. So be subscribed because we're breaking down everything here at Dolphins Today.